الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا تجعل الحزن والصعب إنما شئت سهلا اللهم آمين. We continue inshallah our tafsir, and today we will be talking about two short surahs. We concluded Al-Ma'un last halaqa, and today we will be inshallah exploring sura Al Fil and sura Quraish. And these are two short surahs that are, following each other, and they're considered to be even one surah because the topic introduced in both surahs are so relevant to each other and attached to each other, in the meaning. So we'll start inshallah with Surah Al Fil, and then we go down to Surah Al Quraish. Allah Azza says in the surah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. طيب, we will go to the word by word meanings. ألم ترى, did you not see, يا محمد, كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل, what your Lord have done to the people of the elephant. طيب. Now we know that the Prophet ﷺ was born in عام الفيل, the year of the elephant. That's how they used to, mark they document the history. They document history by major events. And the Prophet ﷺ was born, as it is known to us in the books of the sura, he was born in عام الفيل, in the year that the attacks took place. Now here Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, Alam tara, did you not see? How would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam see the incident when he was not born or was just born in that year? That's something to pay attention to, because this is what it is. It says Alam tara, did you not see? Now, as I said again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was either born before the incident or after the incident, but he was born in that year. Yes, uncle?
Yeah, just 19 days before.
19 days before that. So here, when Allah Azza wa Jal is talking, it is different than average individuals and average human being. Here, Allah the Mighty is talking. So, as Allah is saying to the Prophet ﷺ, or conveying the message that when Allah speaks and when Allah informs you, it is more informative and affirmative and confirmative than you yourself seeing by your own eye. So here Allah Azza wa Jal is talking, is the one who is informing, and here Allah Azza wa Jal is informing us how when you hear things in the Quran, or when you are reading in the Quran and you are being informed about the history and the stories of those who come before you from the previous nations, you take them by facts, because the one who's talking is Allah Azza wa Jal, as if you are seeing them by your own eyes, as if you're witnessing them, because this is, when we witness something, it's more confirmed to us than we were informed about it. Someone say that something took place, in Toronto, but someone else would say, I was there and I witnessed what is happening. The one who was there and witnessed what happened by the eye is more confirmed than the one who heard about it. So this is what Allah Azza wa Jal is starting the surah with, to raise our attention to this fact that when you are informed about things in the past, then Allah Azza wa Jal is the one who informing you. Take them as facts. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. And the story of the elephant, I think is known to many of us. And just quickly, because we have young brothers and sisters in the halaqa, Abraha was a servant to Najashi al-Habasha, the king of Abyssinia in Al-Yaman, and he built or constructed a big church and wants to make it as a center of religion, and wants to all people to come and visit this huge structure, and heard about the Kaaba, and he wants to prevent or distract people from going to Al-Kaaba, which is a small house in the desert, to come to the Al Quraish, which is the church that he established, and divert them from going to this old house to this new constructed, beautifully designed church. And when one of the Arabians heard about that, he was offended, and he went to that church and did something that offended the king. And as a result of that, the king of Yemen, or the servant of the king of Abyssinia in Yemen, was so offended, and asked the Jashi, the king of Abyssinia, to lend him the elephants, and more specifically a white elephant that the king of Abyssinia used to have, called Mahmud, to be the leader of all the army to go and destroy and crush this Al-Kaaba, as a result of what has been done to the Al-Quraish, or this palace. Eventually he made his way, and one of the when he goes by every tribe, they try to prevent him from pursuing and destroying the old house of Allah Azza wa Jal. But eventually he had a huge army. He crushed all those who opposed him in his way, until he reached Al-Taif, and a person for Al-Taif volunteered to be the Abu Rughal, to be the person who leads the army to to Mecca. And eventually he died before reaching Mecca, and his grave became an icon of Shaitan, and was stoned by Arab in Jahriya because of what he have done, and to leading the Abraha to Mecca. So the Arab used to stone him, to stone his grave as a result of his action. This is even before Jahiliyyah. This is how much Arab in Jahiliyyah, Arab even before Islam, used to value Al-Kaaba, because it's the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, constructed by raised by Ibrahim as salam, and was constructed eventually by the Malaika, by the way, because the one who constructed the Kaaba was the Malaika, even before Adam, thousands of millions of years before the creation of Adam, when Allah Azza wa Jal created the earth, and the earth was covered with water, and then a volcano erupted from the center of where the Kaaba where the Kaaba is right now, and then a huge piece of land was created as a result of this volcano, and then was breaking into pieces, as we know in the continents we have right now in the world. So the center of this the earth is the Kaaba geographically, and as we believe in it also in our religion. So the Kaaba was valued by those who lived around it from the people of Mecca and in the surrounding areas in the Arabian Peninsula. They used to make Hajj to Kaaba even in Jahiliyyah. And this is, as we will see inshallah in the next surah, how Quraish gained its reputation and its recognition as being the custodian of the old house of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Kaaba. So eventually, Abraha made his way with the army, and as he entered the borders of Mecca, his leader elephant would not move forward. When he moved him in different direction, he would move. But when he direct him towards the Kaaba, he would stop, as an indication that he is commanded. He is ma'mur. He's being asked not to pursue even the elephants or the animal. He knew the value of the Kaaba, and eventually, when Abraham was so arrogant, was so persistent in his actions and plans to pursue and destroy the Kaaba, Allah Azza wa Jal intervened in the known story when he arsala tayran ababil. He sent birds from the hellfire. And it's good to mention that when the Abraha felt that that he is being not no one cooperates with him and help him in his action plan into destroying the Kaaba, he asked his soldiers to capture the cattle and the animal of the people of Mecca, so to provoke them, because the people of Mecca, when they heard about his coming, they consulted among themselves, and the chief of Mecca was at that time Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to them that we have no ability to prevent this army from attacking the whole house of Allah. So he asked them to go to the mountains and leave the town. And when he heard that the soldiers of Abraha captured some of his camels, about 100 or 200 camels of his, he went to meet with Abraha. And this is what Abraha wants to do. He wants to communicate with the people of Mecca and find out from them how they are going to what's the reaction as a result of his coming to Mecca. And then eventually when Abraha saw the Prophet's grandfather, habahu, he felt his legacy. The Prophet ﷺ's the grandfather was handsome, was well respected, because from the first glance, as we say, from the first people when they see him, they gave him respect. And this is, subhanallah, maybe what the Prophet ﷺ had gained from him. He was also well respected, and being respected from the first time when people see him. So he did not want to sit him next to his to him in his chair, but rather he went and sit with him on the ground. And he said to him, "What brings you here?" He said to him, "I came here to ask you to release my camels, because your soldiers have captured the camels from me." And then Abraha, when he heard that, he said, "I did fear you or I gave you the attention when I first met you, and now you're coming here to ask me about your camels and not worried about the Kaaba? I thought you're going to come here to ask me not to destroy the Kaaba." He said to him, "Amma al-ibil inni rabbul ibil wa amma al-bayt falahu rabbun yahmi." The famous statement that we use all the time in our discussions when we try to cross a point, that I am the Lord of the camels, and the house has a Lord that will protect it. But now again, this is in a time when there were no established state of the Islam. There were Islam, or the deen of Allah, was not established on earth. This is when Allah will be intervening to protect the house. Now in 1.7 billion Muslims claiming to be Muslims on earth, there is no justification for them not to be able to protect and defend the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So I am the Lord of the camels, وَلِلْبَيْتِ رَبٌّ يَحْمِيهِ, and to the house of Allah Allah is the Lord of the house, and He will take care of it. And eventually He gave him what he came to ask for, and he proceeded in his plan and faced his fate of being destroyed with his army, as Allah mentioned in the Quran. أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. He made their plot into destruction, تضليل, ضلال, mischief. وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ, and sent unto them birds, ababil, coming from the hellfire, carrying 3 stones, 1 in each leg and 1 in their beak, in their mouth, and throw it. Every stone comes down onto a soldier from the soldiers of Abraha, لعنة alayhi, ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل, throwing onto them stones from Sijil, from the deep valley of the hellfire. فجعلهم كعصف مأكول, made them scattered as how the plate of the of the food with the meat and the bread and is as being attacked by those who come to eat. This is how the army was destroyed completely as a result of this. Some people say they question whether Allah sent really birds and stones were actually sent down onto the army via those birds from Ababil or not. And they were saying maybe microbes were sent down into them. Regardless of what's the interpretation of this, but we know, as we said at the beginning of the surah, Alam Tara, Allah is informing right now, and when Allah informs, we take things as facts and truth, and we believe in them. This incident of Allah intervening and protecting the house, His house, gave more repetition and more value to the people of Quraysh. And in the next chapter, in which Allah Azza wa Jal says, لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. As said, these we consider it, to some of us, they consider them, as one surah, though they're, two different surahs. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, لإيلاف قريش رحلة الشتاء والصيف إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. So as we said again, that after this incident, Quraysh gained more power, more repetition, more prestige, if you want to use that word, and among the Arab, among the other tribes in Arabia. And for the fact, though that Mecca was in a deep in a valley in the desert that has no vegetation, the location of Mecca in the desert or in the middle of the Arabian Peninsula gave it a strategical value, because as Allah mentioned, رحلة الشتاء والصيف, the trip of the winter and the trip of the summer, because they used to commute between the Bilad al-Sham, what's right now known as Jordan, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon. This all used to be one area called Bilad al-Sham, the northern parts. Sham from Shamal, from the northern parts of the Arabian Peninsula. And they used to commute to that in the summer, and then in the winter they go to Yemen, which is in the north, in the south. And there were two empires per se at the old time: the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. And the traffic path for the goods or the products to be going from Yemen, which is the hub for the south, and the Bilad al-Sham, the hub of the north, was actually Mecca. Mecca used to play a vital role, and the Arabs who were merchants and traders were actually the people who have made the connection happen. The caravans were to travel, because in the northern parts where the Roman Empire were, they did not have camels in their position. They were not familiar with navigating in the desert, and it was too dangerous for them to do that. As the time will come, we'll see like in the sura that the Roman Empire's army did not interfere with what's happening in the Arabian Peninsula. They cannot go into the desert. The same is to be said about the Persian Empire. They did not have the means or the abilities, or they were able to get into the desert. It's very complicated environment, and very harsh, that they are unable to make it through. So the people of Mecca played a vital role for communicating between these two posts and transporting the goods from one side to another, and as a result make their livelihood. And Allah Azza wa Jal is reminding Quraysh for that, reminding them about His blessing unto them, how they are where they were to be the hub between these two position posts or 2 points, and make their livelihood. Because again, Mecca is in a valley that has no vegetation. They have no resources that would make a livelihood for them. No agriculture, no sea to fish from. They're primarily surviving on hunting. But the Allah Azza wa Jal here says at the end of the surah, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّنْ خَوْفٍ. What's أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ? Provided food for them to prevent their hunger, and protected them and gave them the security. وَآمَنَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ. And if you look into this, these two ni'mah that were provided for Quraysh, these are the ni'mah that were provided to them as a result of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he settled his wife Hajar and her son Ismail in Mecca, what he did, he said, Allah prayed to Allah Azza wa Jal to provide for them from his provision. ربي إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة فاجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم وارزقهم من الثمرات لعلهم يشكرون. and he in Surah Al-Baqarah the same thing, you know, من آمن منهم بالله واليوم الآخر قال ومن كفر فأمتعه قليلا وأضطره إلى عذاب النار وبئس المصير. So Allah, the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam was to for Allah Azza wa Jal to make the means of living in this remote desert area. You know, Las Vegas, as we know, is a desert. So they thought that one of the ways they can make it alive is to have a gambling center. Is that what they say? That's what they say. What takes place in Vegas stays in Vegas. But eventually, this is not this would not create a life. This is not what will sustain a living in any city or any town or any culture. The two most important vital elements of providing the ability of sustenance and create life are two: the amn and the food, the security as well as the food, and they come in أطعمهم من جوع. The جوع first, food comes first, and security comes next, and then it could be alternate, جوع and then first, and the خوف later, and خوف, security first, and then eating afterwards, food. So those are the most two important factors for providing the livelihood for people in any part of the world, in any culture. And that's why I wanted to make this relevant to our life. One of the things that we need to be aware of as a new immigrant community living in the West. One of the most important things that we need to be aware of is, as a community, as parents, guardians for our children, the provision of the necessity of life, of food and clothing, which is, alhamdulillah, available in Western societies and even available in abundance. But one of the most important thing that we need to pay attention to, which is something that we sometimes lack in the societies in which we're living in, is security, al-amn. Whether it is by the attack of Islamophobia into the most vulnerable segments of our society, of our community, primarily children and young, and the sisters, even though brothers are not immune from the attacks of Islamophobic and Islamophobic attacks onto them, and with the continuous rising, unfortunately, of the extremism in the West, where this becomes an issue that we need to deal with and try to diffuse and reduce it to the best of our ability, to ensure that our children are able to live a decent, balanced life. And one important thing which I want to pay attention the parents to is the security and the amn for our children as they go to schools. Our children are living in the society in which we're living in, and they're interacting with people around them. And this is, and we know for a fact that they are not protected, they're not immune from being bullied, from being threatened, and as a result of that, they might be, this is a big word that I want to be careful to use, many of them might find themselves being pushed indirectly into joining gangs group for the purpose of belonging, as well as for the protection. And we need not to talk about what are the consequences of joining gangs group. Majority of these gangs group are groups that involve into illegal activities of drug trafficking, and this is also raises the potential and chances of crimes and more gun related crimes that could lead to incidents that we have heard a lot lately in the GTA about the death of so many young people. And when you look into the names of these who are being killed and shot as a result of gun related activities or gun violence as they call it, it's primarily coming from the being involved with gangs activities. And one of the things that I hope that not only parents are aware of, but the community in general is aware of, is how we can protect our children from being involved and provide for them the amn. Because it's a must on you, it's a necessity, because this is what Ibrahim alayhi salam have asked Allah Azza wa Jalla for. And these are the most important two elements of living for any society. One of the things, and I've talked to many police officers and read a lot of articles into what forms gangs group and why young people join them. And I'm not by any means claiming to be an expert in this area, but I'm trying to the best of my ability to understand the mechanism, understand what motivates young people from our community to join them, and prevent that from happening in the first place. The lack of mentorship in our community. Young people wants to belong, wants to feel the sense of belonging. They want to be attached with some an influential figure in their life. They want a big brother or a big sister, as we know that there are the organizations of big brother, big sister, in which adults provide companionship and friendship to younger people and guide them in their life. And this is not to be done by parents. Unfortunately, the relationship, especially in the West, between the children and the parents is not ideal and the best as it is in many of the back home societies. So we need to somehow create this system in our community by which adults who have the ability to deal with young people, to gather these young people around them and provide for them the the mentorship they need to feel secure, to feel comfortable, to feel that they're being to feel the aspiration in their life and to be inspired by those adults in their life, from both boys and girls, sisters and brothers, meaning to say that will help them to be able to make it safely in their life. And one of the things that help a lot is to create the dialogue between the parents and the children and make them feel comfortable to talk to you about issues that they face in school, the problems they would face in their life. If they feel that they're being threatened or they're being bullied or they're being pushed, then they need to feel comfortable to talk to you right away, because they're the first line of defense for them in their life. If that is not available for them, it's not provided for them, does not exist, then eventually someone else will provide that for them. Someone else will give them the indication that here, I am there for you. You can count on me. Come talk to me. I'll listen to you. I will help you to become rich. You're unable to buy the things that you wish to buy in your life. I can help you to do that. All it takes from you is to be doing little things in your life. Trafficking drugs, this will make you get money. This will help you to buy the shoes that you wanted to buy for a long time. This will help you to buy the clothing that you wanted to buy and be like everyone else around you in school. So let's make sure that we're able to communicate and with our children and give them that sense of security and the comfort of coming to us and talking to us. If you felt that your child is involved into any of those activities, if you feel that child is being dragged or absorbed by these groups, then you could reach out for other helping groups that alhamdulillah we do have now emerging, that some groups are emerging now in our community to provide counseling for youth, and we can reach to even to the police officers or to community police officers and talk to them about this issue and listen to them from them the advice on how to deal with this. This is a real issue that we're dealing with in our societies. Do not think that we're talking about things that are happening somewhere else. No, this is happening in our neighborhood. This is happening in our community. It's happening in the society in which we're living in. And listening to the news would give you an idea of what is happening. The number of those who are being shot around the year is increasing rapidly in Toronto and the GTA, not decreasing, unfortunately. The gun violence is becoming an issue right now. Gangster activities are becoming more violent, and as a result of that, young people are being sacrificed in this unfortunately. So Allah Azza wa Jal is highlighting for us two important things: security and provision of the necessities of life, of food and clothing and the livelihood. So this was provided as a result of the da'wah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and then eventually, because of the fact that Arabs scattered, were in the living around Mecca, and then eventually moved out. They spread and they moved out in the Arabian Peninsula, but all of them were attached to the house because they were in the middle of Ibrahim alayhi salam. They were following the deen of Ismail alayhi salam. So they still, beside worshipping the statues, used to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, and they used to come to Mecca for Hajj. Hajj was even known in Jahiliyyah. That was known to people in Jahiliyyah. Unfortunately, when they do their Hajj, they wanna do it purely. So they say that the clothes we're wearing is bought by money that has some haram in it. So they take off their clothes and they do their tawaf naked around the Kaaba. And for the ladies, they do it at night so that they will not be seen. And for people, they would do it as this is out of their taqwa. This is how they see themselves as being muttaqi. So no one would dare to mess with the caravans or the business of Quraysh, because if they happen to be traveling around in the Arabian Peninsula and a tribe come across them or attack them, eventually that tribe one day will make it to Mecca, and eventually they will be caught by Quraysh. So when they know that this is the caravan of Quraysh, they would not mess with them. So it gives them the security and the protection. Even before that incident, this incident came, the incident of the elephant, came to endorse the perception in people's mind in the Arabian Peninsula that those are people not only custodians of the haram, and all of us one day will make it to the haram, and we will be they can get us if they were to attack them, but also now they got this this incident have made them believe that they are also protected by Allah Azza wa Jalla. This house of Allah is protected by Allah, and as a result of that, Quraysh gained more power, more reputation. So لإلاف قريش, إلاف, by the way, is from ilfa, from being used, accustomed. When you become ta'laf al-shay, you become used to it. You go to work every day, you commute daily by the train or by the bus or by car. This becomes a routine for you, a daily activity. You don't pay attention to it. You don't pay attention to how much effort or what's the logistics behind, for instance, the bus commuting from one place to another, or the trains commuting from one point to another point. There's so much logistics involved in the background. We normally don't pay attention to it. We get used to it. We just pay the fares and we get into the train, and this we move from one point to another. Allah is saying to the people of Quraysh, do not be fooled by the fact that now you are used to commuting between Bilad al-Sham and Yemen and doing business and gaining money and gaining reputation and gaining power, and you're becoming the hub of the Arabian Peninsula. This is all because of Allah Azza wa Jall's blessings unto you. لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. So do not be fooled by yourselves. You did not gain it because of your own power or your own strength, but it is from Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Remember, fa is to. Therefore, let them worship the Lord of this house. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Now, there is something that we need to explore with some details. It's Allah said, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Again, وَلِلْبَيْتِ رَبٌّ يَحْمِيهِ. The Lord of this house. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. As if Allah is saying to them that, forget about all the statues you have created and you brought from different parts of the Arabian Peninsula, because the first statue was brought to them from Bilad al-Sham, and then eventually they created different statues and all the details. He said, forget about that and worship on the Lord of the house, the one who have made a value for you, who have given you this ability and power and recognition in the Arabian Peninsula and provided for you the security and the means of living. And here the concept of ibadah is an important issue. What is the first thing that comes to our mind from ibadah? The first thing comes to us is salah. Because وَمَا خَلْقُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The first thing comes to us from the ibadah is salah, which is a very narrow understanding, because ibadah does not only is not only limited to worshiping Allah Azza wa Jalla in salah. It expands to different aspects of the life, and that's why when we were talking about elections, because this is the election time, the people say that we need a secular system, and this is a movement that started in Europe as a result of people getting tired and sick from the religious people controlling their livelihood, and they said we need to rebel against that and we need to be free, and that's why they rejected the faith religion, and they adopted secularism, to stay away from religion. And this movement started from France, as I said, and then moved in the rest of Europe, and then it was imported after that to the Muslim countries. This is a wrong understanding, because if the deen, religion, is not governing you from the first time you get up from bed to the last minute, you go to bed and you sleep, then what's the point of having a deen? Is deen or religion only a spiritual fulfillment by doing tuqus and sha'air, by doing certain actions and acts to fulfill your spiritual need, and that's it? No, you are expected to be mindful of Allah in all your life affairs. As even like you mentioned in the Quran, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ الْكَافِرُونَ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ الظَّالِمُونَ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Hukum is ruling, and Allah Azza wa Jalla have revealed to the people of the book, وَكَيْفَ يُحَكِّمُونَكَ وَعِنْدَهُمُ التَّوْرَاةُ وَالْإِنْجِيلُ. Why would they come to you, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to ask you to rule for them, when Bani Israel had so one of the committed zina, and they said they wanted to find a way out, because in their scripts that if the zani is muhsan, meaning to say married, then they will be stoned to death, and if he is not, then he will be yu'azzar, will be lashed. And then they said, some of their scholars said, go to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask him, if he gives you a different ruling, then take it, and if not, then fatruku, leave it. And then eventually he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked them, the most knowledgeable of them, to bring the Torah, and he asked them, read from it. And then they start reading, and they covered their hands on one of the pages, and the Prophet ﷺ said, what's under this? Read that page. And then he eventually read, even though the Prophet ﷺ was illiterate, did not know how to read or to write, but Allah will reveal to him. And eventually they took all these parts from the Torah that would be dealing with the ruling, with ahkam. Our Quran is filled with ahkam al-sariqa, ahkam al-janaza, ahkam al-qatl, ahkam al-talaq, ahkam الدين, ahkam, all these are ahkam, rules that are provided to us in the book of Allah, in the Quran. So they cannot separate al-hukum from the deen. It's impossible in the context of Islam. Now this important understanding of secularism and separating the deen from the is irrelevant. This is impossible. That's why we have corruptions. That's why we're seeing people suffering, whether in the West or in the East, in what so-called Muslim countries, or even in the Western societies with supposed to be democratic systems that that provide democracy into the deen. Without getting into the details of how the appointment of the hakim will be in the Islam, this is a different issue. But in general, your life is solely based on that's what would make the ruler be just and fair in their ruling. Their conscience will be governing them. And that's also what makes the ra'iyya, the followers, be observant to the hakim. La sam'an wa la ta'a. Your sama' and ta'a, your obedience and listening will be as long as you're practicing the deen of Allah. If you're not practicing the deen of Allah, no sam'an wa la ta'a. No listening, no obeying. Period. And that's why the model of hukum in the early stages, whether at the time of Prophet ﷺ or whether at the time of the Khulafa al-Rashidun, was a most ideal scenario where there was a harmony between the leadership and the followers. They were both focused into serving the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal and being conscious and mindful of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is the general concept of ibadah to Allah Azza wa Jal. However, most of the time, the first thing comes to mind is a salah, and salah by itself is a ibadah that includes all the shara'i of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because you're expected to say ash-shahada once in your life. That's, you say ash-shahada once someone come to Islam, they say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna rasulullah, this is it. They have said the kalima and they become Muslim. But now it's a journey towards understanding your life and your deen. You say the shahada is mentioned to us when the adhan is called, and when we are in the salah doing the tashahhud. So we say the shahada, and we repeat our shahada to Allah Azza wa Jalla, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna rasulullah. And then the 5 pillars of Islam is included in salah, and that's why ibadah referred to as salah, because shahada is included in salah. The second pillar of Islam, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna rasulullah wa iqamat as-salah. You are establishing the salah, so it is part of the 5 pillars of Islam. And wa ita is zakah, and to give the charity. Now charity is coming from making money, and the surplus of your money, 2.5% of the money that has been parked in your saving account is your zakah. Now when you are doing your salah, you're not giving money, but you're giving the asset of the money, because you use your time to work, and as a result of your work you earn money and you give the zakah. But you are now giving up the time, half an hour for salat al-fajr or salat al-dhuhr and salat al-asha. This is you're giving to the Allah Azza wa Jal's deen, and you're worshipping to Allah in salah, the core of the money, the asset of the money, which is the time. And iqam as-salah wa ita az-zakah wa sawm Ramadan. In your salah, you're not only abstaining from eating and drinking only, but you're abstaining from other lawful things. You're standing in salah, you're forbidden from eating, from drinking, from talking, from walking. And this is what exercise is in your fasting. And then Hajj al-Bayt bin istata'a ilayhi sabila, when you start your salah, you're tuned in line towards the Kaaba, and remember yourself standing in front of the Kaaba and praying between the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal. So indeed, salah as a ibadah is a core of all the ibadah. It includes all the 5 pillars of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So for us to be thankful to Allah Azza wa Jal for the provisions that He had given to us of the security and the provisions of the means of livelihood, of food and clothing, and the comfort that we're enjoying in our life, needs to be by فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Let them worship the Lord of this house by being mindful of Allah Azza wa Jalla in all our life affairs, and being more specifically conscious of our salah, because salah is indeed includes all the 5 pillars of the deen. And that's why we think of ibadah as automatically being the salah. لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت. Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding Quraysh, don't be ignorant, don't be adamant. You have gained this ability and power as a result of what Allah Azza wa Jalla has provided to you from the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And you also have seen what happened to those who dare to attack the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ, let them worship the Lord of the house, not any other entities or any other statues. الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ, the one who provided for them the security and provided for them the amen. In a couple of minutes before we conclude, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ, عبودية to Allah Azza wa Jal is a beautiful ubudiyah in the context of the human being. And now we're talking about the Islamic Heritage Month, and those who have come in the early days to Canada were primarily from the slaves who were forced to come to North America as labor, to be worked for their masters. Now the concept of ubudiyah in the human understanding is very ugly, because a human owns another human, and the best of the human comes to the master. However, the slavery to Allah Azza wa Jal is a beautiful relationship between the creator and the creation, and the human, because when you are the slave of Allah Azza wa Jal and surrendering and submitting to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, you are getting the best of what Allah is offering to you. Allah is providing to you with, with the rizq. Allah is providing you with the means of your livelihood, and you are as as a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal, being honored and privileged to be connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi layla min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa. Allah honored the Prophet ﷺ by calling him the servant, the abd. Abdi min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa. When you are, if you want, in the context of nowadays, if you want, to talk to someone of a position, whether a minister or a prime minister, or someone, you need to book an appointment. You need to specify, the time, the topic, and and you will be, limited, from, for a very specific time, very short time, and it takes long for you to be able to get that appointment. But when you want to communicate with Allah Azza wa Jal, all it takes from you is to take a couple of minutes to do your wudu, and to take the time you choose, and the long you want to talk between your Allah Azza wa Jal and your salah. The salah is communicating between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. You're talking to Allah, you're conveying to Him, and that's why Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ, or وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. So what a beautiful, thing to be a slave to Allah. Being a slave to Allah will help you to get the best of what Allah is offering to His creation. And being slave by a human is an ugly form of of humiliating and taking advantage of others in their life. With this, inshallah, we will conclude the dars and stop here. And inshallah, next time we will talk about Surah Al-Humaza and Surah Al-Asr, which is a short surah, but a very meaningful surah that has deep meanings that we pray to Allah to help us be able to understand and comprehend and apply in our life. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.